think it's safe to say we all need a game where we can just zone out and just feel good the entire time we play it. Now, does Potion Permit fit that bill? Potion Permit does a lot of things right, and is a pretty decent feel-good game. However, it does have its issues. Let's begin with the positives though. Firstly, you get a dog companion, which you can feed and pet. Your dog can also help you find NPCs and assist you when you're exploring. Speaking of, you get to traverse a decent amount of completely different environments, and there are a large variety of materials you can collect, ranging from berries to tongues. Progression is restricted by earning the trust of the villagers. You can do this by completing a massive amount of quests for them, each having you take part in either those dreaded fetch quests or by playing a selection of fun minigames. Along the way, you will build relationships with the villagers, including the option to take the romantic route with a select few. The best part is how different these NPCs are, giving you more of an incentive to unlock their secrets. Another thing players will enjoy is the ability to upgrade not only your weapons but the village itself. Whether this is by adding a kitchen to your workshop, improving the quality of your clinic, fixing the street lamps on the road, or improving your cauldron so you can add more items when crafting potions in the Resident Evil 4 attaché case style minigame. Now, even with these positives, I have plenty to grunt and groan about. Let's start with the biggest issue for a game of this type. It gets hugely repetitive. There isn't enough variation within the gameplay loops to keep you interested in longer play sessions. It boils down to wake up, material gathering, talk to the villagers, and then go to sleep. Rinse and repeat. This wouldn't necessarily be an issue if the minigames you play or side jobs you do are more interesting. However, almost everything you do feels like a chore, which is amplified even further as movement in this game is so sluggish. Even the upgrades aren't fun to earn. Upgrades are almost comically expensive. The first upgrade for one of your tools is the same as building a new kitchen. Instead of easing you in, you're thrown into the deep end. The second most basic tool shouldn't cost over 1000 gold, 200 wood and 200 stone. Potion Permit does it right sometimes, asking you to get silver ore to upgrade your fishing rod, but not your tools. I can understand the large cost for building house improvements, but not for basic tools. This branches out into the story progression too, so instead of you saying to yourself, oh cool, a new area, you'll be saying, finally somewhere different, which is a huge shame, and is only a problem because of how expensive every important or essential item costs in this game. The final issue I want to touch on is how there are plenty of glitches in the game, some of which are actually game breaking. Firstly, every time you close the game and load it back up, you'll have to reactivate all the fast travel points in the village. Other times your dog gets stuck in the environment, but the worst glitches of all involve the cutscenes. Sometimes when you enter a cutscene, it won't initiate properly, so you'll be running around like normal and the camera stays where it is. Other times when the cutscene ends, you'll respawn within walls or furniture, now unable to move. The best part is you'll have to close the game and reload your save when this happens. Plus, you can only save when you sleep, so if this happens at the end of the day, you'll have to start that entire day again. Quite honestly, this is inexcusable. As I said in the beginning, Potion Permit does make you feel good when getting to know the NPCs and improve the village, but it makes so many things unnecessarily tedious. This will ruin the game for so many people, including myself. It's a tough one. It really is a tough one because there are so many things about Potion Permit which I really enjoy, and it's not a case that I'm saying this is a bad game. It's not. It's a good game. It's enjoyable for the most part. However, it does need just retooling, especially in those early to mid stages. It just is too much of a grind, just constantly doing the same repetitive things over and over again without the format being spiced up enough. Yes, having those relationships and those conversations with the NPCs does change up the material gathering, but because if everything is just in a set pattern, it all feels the same, and you just go along with the flow, which is not really what this game should be. And it's little things like just not being able to sprint, so everything is exceedingly slow. I understand you have a dog with you, but why not have like a bicycle with a little dog basket on the front? Because I mean, hey, how cute would that be anyway? But still, he can direct you. You can pet him. You can still feed him while he's in the basket. And even if you limit it to only being able to cycle within the village itself, within the town, that's fine. But yeah, it's just very, very slow. And little things like when you do those part time jobs, you're limited. So the one at the church, for example, you can mash the button as fast as you can to get 7 grapes grinded. That's it. And if you take 5 seconds to do that, you still have 10 seconds left over on the timer. I don't see why you can't carry on mashing, and depending on how well you do, you earn more money. It's just like working overtime. Even little things like customizing the breed of your dog, it's still something because it personalizes that experience for you a little bit more. But it's just one of those things like saving. Again, it shouldn't be an issue that every time you want to save the game, you have to go to bed. So if you spent 40 minutes of the game and then something happens, like I said, the glitches happen, it's just completely ruined. And there's no reason for it. There's no reason why you can't just sit on a bench, have the option to save, or even progress time faster, because some jobs, some quests are time limited. So you can only do it from, say, like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And if you're like, oh, okay, it's a bad example. Let's just say one of the jobs is from 9 p.m. until 11 p.m. And you've pretty much done everything. You've exhausted your stamina by 1 p.m. You're just doing nothing for the rest of the time. So it would be nice to fast forward. There's just so many things where it just gets in the way of itself and stops this being a great game. Instead, it's just a good game. I think a lot of people will enjoy that, but at the same time, I think a lot of other people will just completely drop off of this game after the first few hours because it takes so long to progress and do anything. It gave me a lot to say, and that's normally because I expected so much from it, but at the same time, it didn't quite meet those expectations I had for it. It's close, but just not quite there yet. It's such a shame. I do think you enjoy it. I think it's definitely worth trying, but it's not a must play for me. Not yet.